Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So, I saw this New York Post article titled Young People Are Converting to Catholicism en Masse Due to the Pandemic, the Internet, and Lacks Alternatives. And I thought it was pretty interesting because the article doesn't really go into the reasons why this is happening. They basically state these three as hearsay by individuals they interviewed. So, I wanted to take today to break down these three reasons and why people are converting specifically to the Catholicism because of these three reasons. So let's get right into it. First, we're talking about the pandemic. Why were people converting during the pandemic? Well, the pandemic was a total disaster. It was one of the worst times for people mentally, spiritually, financially, community-wise. They had no community. They had no friends. You're basically cut off from the world. And what do people do in tough times? They turn to religion. Well, why is that? It's like because it gives them hope and stability. It gives them something outside themselves to work towards, to look forward to. And especially Catholicism, part of one of its core tenets is taking on voluntary suffering or acknowledging the suffering of the world as you can utilize this as a good thing. You can thank God for the tough opportunities he's given you to work towards something greater. And that is something that is a message that really resonated with people who are in a tough time, and especially the mental health part of it. I think is probably the most severe thing that came from the pandemic is the mental health, all on your own, no community, no socialization aspect. That's why we've seen results of this. Like people are more online than ever because they got used to it, but then also like their friends and their community is online now. It's not in person. So that mental health avenue gave way for people to be on the internet. And that kind of leads into the second point is they started seeing things on the internet that gave a better representation of Catholicism, which they never encountered before. Either they never met somebody who was Catholic, they never got answers to things. And what happened is you see a 30-second TikTok or a quick clip on Twitter about a priest just explaining something. In my experience, when I've met people who are resistant to becoming Catholic or do not like Catholics, it is almost always not a logical reason. It's almost always not like a valid church criticism, like, oh, I don't like the Pope because of X, Y, and Z. He has too much authority here, or I don't like the interpretation of the Gospels here. It's very, very rarely that. What it usually is either a complete and total misinformation about the Catholic Church, i.e. things like we worship Mary, we worship saints, we worship statues, things that if you asked any of the over 1 billion Catholics on the planet, literally 1 billion, every single one of them would say that's not true. We don't do that. So a lot of people who had never met a Catholic before, never talked to one, hold these preconceived notions that they see in a 30-second TikTok clip of a priest is like, so why do we worship Mary? Short answer is we don't. And then they're like, oh, wait, I thought they did. And then they go down the rabbit hole and say, oh, all of that stuff was lies. All of that is just propaganda. It's not true. That's one of the things that the benefits of using the internet to kind of learn things about a new religion. And the second reason I've seen people be resistant to Catholicism is typically because they were hurt by a loved one, a family member, a friend, somebody who was Catholic in name and then behaved hypocritically or in a poor way or explained something incredibly poorly that pushed this person away from the church. So they say, oh, well, my aunt was Catholic allegedly, or my grandma was Catholic allegedly, but then she was like a big hypocrite. It's like, okay, well, so you're saying the person didn't follow the rules that were set in the first place, but you're not disagreeing with the rules as like a tenant, you know? So usually it's from an emotional place, a place of hurt. And so when they have a relationship online with people who are Catholic or seeing these priests who are starting more podcasts and stuff, who explain things in a way that's a lot more charitable, a lot more reasonable, and then even to say like, oh yeah, your grandma was just wrong. Like we don't do that. You don't speak to people that way, things of that nature. So I've seen that as like a huge opening up. A lot of these young Catholic influencers explaining things very quickly with the TikTok videos and whatnot. And theology is very hard. Let's be honest, it's very, very hard. But a lot of times it's just like a little seed of something. Like a 60-second clip is enough to get people to say, you're right, I've never thought about it that way before. Or I was actually told the complete opposite. And so I think that's doing wonders via the internet, and especially pushed during the time of the pandemic. And that has only escalated since. And the interest begets interest, right? When the algorithm realizes that people are looking at Catholic entertainment more and more and more, it pushes us out to more regular people just to see the reactions and gauge that. The algorithm, of course, is always looking to expand what people, the majority of people are interested in. So, and the third one is lax alternative. So we've seen over time the Protestant denominations continue to break up. They continue to get more liberal. That's not going along with this new conservative worldview. If you look at the article, it says between 30 and 70% year over year. Those are the increases in the numbers these priests are seeing in their parishes. 30% year over year is insane. All the way up to 70%, which is just like unfathomable. It's crazy. And it's particularly young people. It's people in their 20s and in their 30s. And people in their 20s and 30s right now are seeing what happened to the older generation who lived by a very liberal mindset, and they're all miserable. They're just like unhappy. Like that's why atheists are recorded as the most unhappy group of people year over year. And so the young people say, well, I just want to do the complete opposite. I want structure. I want to not have it all be about me. I want it to be more conservative, more traditional. And so the Catholic Church offers the most stability of any parish ever, any church on the planet. It's 2,000 years old. It has a magisterium that explains things that are not in the Bible, or how to deal with problems in the modern world that were not explicitly mentioned in the Bible. The Bible is always used as the foundation, but there's also tradition, and there's also the determination by people who are a lot smarter than us and a lot holier than us to say, like, this is the line, this is the determination, this is the intent, and so it's not all about you, and it's not all on you. That's the more important thing, is it's not all on you to determine every single thing yourself. You have something to lean on and rely on. And you should always ask questions. The Catholic Church actually encourages asking questions, unlike other religions like Islam, where you're not supposed to ask that many questions. You're supposed to just have that much faith in it. The Catholic Church encourages questions, but it also says at the end of the day, this has been the determination. And a criticism I've heard of that is people saying, oh, what, you don't think you're smart enough to determine these things for yourself? No, I'm not. And you aren't either. None of us are. None of us are smart enough to decipher the morality of the entire universe by ourselves. It's not possible. We're social creatures, and for that benefit is we have shared experience and shared knowledge. And when you bring the smartest people who've ever lived together, which if you look back at the Catholic Church, most of the smartest people who have ever lived have been devout Catholics who have added something immense to the Catholic Church. You bring all those people together, and then they can create a cohesive worldview that you can follow. You have to have your personal faith, but you can also follow these rules that are like, if you're not feeling like you're close to God, if you're not feeling good, if you're miserable, you still follow these tenets, and your life will start to get on track. It'll start going in a better direction. And it's not all about feeling. And so tying yourself to that is important. And that explanation that comes from the church, it's the same way as, how many of us think that if we got sent back to 2000 BC, had our minds wiped blank, how many of us think we could recreate algebra, like just make it up? Are we smart enough to do that? Are we smart enough to invent physics? No, probably not. Most of us are not smart enough to discover things by ourselves, especially something as like profoundly encompassing as like an entire group of mathematics, or an entire group of science, or an entire group of theology. However, we can learn. We are smart enough to observe that information, because how many of you took an algebra class? Probably most of you. How many of you took a physics class? Maybe half of you, but you understand it. It's a lot easier to be taught something, to question something, and then to grapple with it, and then slowly over time comprehend it, than it is to invent something. And so when these Protestant denominations, you have to basically invent the whole theology yourself. You have to read the Bible, and you're responsible for knowing all the historical context, all the cultural context of the time, how it applied then, how it applied now, all the narratives, and then how to apply every single thing to your whole life and get it right every single time. And it's all on you to do that. And that is not it's not an environment for success. And so people are saying these lax alternatives that just basically say push the burden on you and say do whatever you want. It's not fulfilling. It's not enough. You're not attaching yourself to something bigger than yourself, which is the whole purpose of being with God, is it's something more important than you. And the Catholic Church on earth is it's the church that Jesus set up, and it is really the biggest entity on the planet, and it's something beyond you that's not just internally in your head, because like I said, sometimes you can just not be feeling it. You can have doubts, which is encouraged. You should have doubts. It's normal. You're human. You can just be depressed. You can have your worldview shaken by something. You can go through some tragedy that really affects your faith or your family life or whatever. And so when it's all on you, you're never going to be at 100% all the time. It's just not possible. So what's good is to have a community around you and to have the church around you that says, even when you're not feeling 100%, this is what you should do. We're here to help guide you and lead you. So it's not all about you, and it's not all on you. And so that's why people, I think, are moving to Catholicism more and more, is because they say, I don't want to be responsible for everything myself, for determining everything myself, because I've tried that. And guess what that is? It's relativism. And why do all these churches continue to break up and schism and create their own new religion in mall parking lots? Well, it's because it's all relativistic. That is the core of Protestantism. It's just relativistic. It's just breaking away from the church to do your own thing. And now we have, 100,000 denominations. So those three reasons, I think, are big reasons why people are becoming Catholic. And it seems to compound because now more people know somebody who's Catholic or is becoming Catholic. And the people who are becoming Catholic are really devout. They really believe it. They're all in. It's not like a lot of the boomers who they went to church because their parents went to church, and they go to church because their friends go to church, and it's more of a social obligation than an actual religious obligation. Where versus you have people during the pandemic in their basement, all alone, no friends, barely any community, who decided, I'm going to be Catholic, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to build this from the ground up. They're all in. They really have made a determination. That's why there's that kind of the saying that converts are more serious than cradle Catholics. Yeah, in a lot of ways, because they've made that active choice. They really have decided to dedicate their lives to this. And so that has increased the number of people. It's increased the number of people evangelizing. It's increased the number of people clearing up a lot of those misconceptions, like I said. It's easier now than ever to look up, well, do Catholics actually believe X thing? Yeah, it takes 1 second to Google that. That's why this is happening so quickly. So I love to see it. I think it's great. I think the article is right about these being major reasons. And I think we're only going to see it grow more and more over time, because you're coming off of people still living in a world that is totally not conducive to human flourishing. Just hyper-relativism, hyper-liberalism. So there's people from that side making the switch over because they have hit rock bottom and they said, this doesn't work. And then you have people and then they go and try something like Catholicism instead of that they're introduced to by their friends or online or what. They try these core tenets of Catholicism, and immediately they have structure and meaning and purpose and something beyond themselves, and it's not all about themselves, and it's not all on themselves to do everything. And therefore, they immediately go from meaninglessness to having this core tenet in their life, this core rock that they can build their lives on. And so I think we're going to see that just increase more and more. We're just living in a time where as soon as people kind of, it's like what water tastes a lot better when you're dying of thirst. And that's what a lot of people are realizing is they had this, we're going to go way over here and we're going to try this, and it didn't work at all. Now they're going and they try a little bit of structure and stability, real authentic Christianity, and then they're all in. Then they just go so far to the right, politically, socially, and now spiritually. So I'm glad to see this. It's going to keep continuing. And there's more reasons now than ever to convert to the Catholicism, and it continues to outpace even these other religions with structure that just do not have as cohesive a worldview, like Islam. A lot of people were saying that was going to take over. It didn't. Orthodoxy is still very good, but it doesn't have the fullness of the understanding from the church. And so people try Orthodoxy, but then a lot of them, more people are converting to Catholicism over Orthodoxy. So that's going to continue to outpace it. And the Protestant denominations are just getting like wiped out. People are just not continuing with those whatsoever. And atheism clearly is not a viable solution. It just makes you miserable. So all in all, great news. And we will continue to see this. And if there's any other major articles like this or questioning things, because they always say, why are people converting to Catholicism? I would love to tackle that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts below. If you know somebody who's Catholic, or if you're Catholic, or what you see of why are people becoming even just more like religious and spiritual in general. Like atheism is dying, agnosticism is rising, and then agnosticism breeds into like an actual religion that has a worldview beyond just like, oh, there's probably a God or something. So let me know what you think down in the comments below about what are some reasons other than these major three that are why people are converting to religion, why they are becoming more conservative, why they were pushed to that direction, what things have been going on in their lives that have made them make this choice. So I'd love to see that. If you made it all the way through the video, I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me continue to do this. So that being said, I'd like to thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next one.